Hello everyone, I'm Polly Hoganson and welcome to OurVentura.com. Today we have in studio the lovely Karyl Lynn Burns. She is the founder and producer, along with her husband, Jim O'Neill, who's the artistic director of the Rubicon Theater. So welcome.
Thank you.
To OurVentura.
Thanks, Polly.
I wanted to chat a little bit about, I guess, where did the name Rubicon come from?
Well, it's a historical reference to Caesar crossing the Rubicon in 49 BC, where he is reputed to have said the die is cast. He, plunged into the water and said the die is cast. So for us, it means going forward with commitment and tenacity, which is what we believe about the art.
Yeah, and that's what it takes these days.
It does.
To have a successful theater company. So how long has the Rubicon been here in Ventura?
We started in 1998, so we're in our lucky 13th season.
Oh, congratulations.
So, thanks.
That's
Thank
great.
Yeah.
And I know you've put on a lot of wonderful productions. I did see Driving Miss Daisy a few years back, and that was marvelous.
I'm so glad.
So how many productions do you think you put on?
I think around 80 productions. I know last year we were at 70-something, so I think it's around 80. We've done dramas, comedies, musicals, some world premieres.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also have the Rubicon as available for renting as well for other private.
We do. We've recently started
concerts.
to do some concerts or weddings, that type of thing.
Right.
There, really, as much as we can as a kind of community service.
Right.
We didn't in the early years because we were really either in rehearsal or production about 45 weeks of the year. So there weren't that many dates available, but a little more now.
And while being a nonprofit, you need to rely on as many different avenues as possible to try and stay a viable company.
Yeah, it's so true. About half of the funding for the company comes from ticket sales, and about half from donations.
Yeah.
And then we also have some classes and camps and those types of things too.
Well, let's touch a little bit about the classes that you provide for the community. Now, I know there's children's classes.
Yes, during the school year, we have after-school and weekend programs for young people, and then we also have some adult classes during the year. And in the summer, we have really intensive camps for young people. For example, we have a musical theater camp that's 4 weeks long. It's 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's very intense training. And then the students also put on a full production with lights and sound and costumes and production values. And we have a musical theater camp. We have a technical theater camp for kids who are interested in learning about how to run a light board or how to build a set or find props. And then we also have a drama camp. This year they're doing King John. They're doing a Shakespeare.
Oh, wow.
And our musical theater camp has grown so much that we actually have 2 age groups now. The young kids are doing Jungle Book this summer, and the older kids are doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, fabulous productions.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great that they get the performance experience. It's very process-oriented. In the mornings, they will get training in, vocal production and, how to act and how to move on a stage and even voice and diction, those types of things.
So you don't need to be experienced. You can just come and soak it all in and have just the time of your life.
Yeah, a lot of the kids in the program have, we've now been doing them for 10 years, and a lot of kids that started when they were 9 or 10 have, gone on to either, study it in college or, more importantly, I think just have gained some skills and confidence and made lifelong friendships. I mean, a lot of those kids that started at 9 are still friends, and they came from different schools in the area, and I love that.
That's great training for young kids.
Yeah.
So you also have a community outreach has started with the Rubicon?
Yes, we just finished a strategic planning process with our board of directors. That was a great process, and part of what we realized in that process was that we really needed to reconnect with the community. And you know, in the last few years, because of the economy, I think we had become pretty insular. Just we had to be so focused on financial management and on fundraising because of the challenge that many businesses and many nonprofits, not just us, faced. But we realized that in that time period, we had really lost touch and weren't doing as many collaborative programs. And so we're forming a community outreach committee, which is separate from our education outreach committee. And the goal of it is to have people from maybe different walks of life and different cultural backgrounds, different ages, that would be advisors really to the company about how we can maybe reach some people that we're not reaching right now, because we're for the community. We really believe that.
And there are a lot of volunteer programs that a lot of people in the community can come and volunteer as ticket takers or ushers.
Right.
So that's another way of having the community involved.
Yeah, we have actually about 300 active volunteers.
Oh my.
We have a volunteer organization that's called the Grand Dames, and although they're very down to earth, they're not, it was almost kind of tongue-in-cheek, and sometimes I worry that will scare people away, but they're the most down-to-earth, wonderful women. And that's primarily a women's auxiliary, and they have quarterly luncheons, but they prepare meals for the actors on double show days. They work in the box office. They do welcome baskets. They plan events. They're amazing. And then we have a separate group of volunteers. You don't actually have to be a member of that organization to volunteer. So,
well, let's talk about some of the productions that you've had in the past and some of the brilliant actors that you've brought to Ventura. I know that Jack Lemmon was in one of your productions.
He was.
And tell us a little bit about Jack.
Well, he's a wonderful man, as you would really guess watching him, on television or on screen or on stage. He's a very soulful person, and I had actually met him at an awards ceremony and sat next to him, and he just gave me his number and said, if you ever need anything, call me. And we had a situation where we were going to do a production, and one of the people in the production had a family issue come up, and we had to move it. And it was very early on, and we thought, you always want people to be very confident that you're going to do the productions you say you're going to do, but we had to make a change. And so I called him and asked him if he and his wife would do love letters. His wife is Felicia Farr, also a wonderful actress. And he said yes, and came and did the production, and it ended up being his final stage performance. But it was a very soulful, performance. At the end, there's a moment where the other character has died, and he could not speak really for a few minutes. He was just so emotional, and it was, just precious. And then afterwards, he helped dedicate our youth conservatory before we were doing some classes for the Boys and Girls Clubs, and he helped dedicate the space that we did that in. And so I have a picture of him cutting the ribbon for our youth conservatory.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the, it seems like regulars that come from Hollywood to star in your productions throughout the year.
Yeah, we've had just amazing performers. Stephanie Zimbalist, Linda Pearl, Bill Irwin, Joel Gray, Tony Franciosa, Ed Asner, Susan Clark, Bonnie Franklin, who actually has a home here in Ventura, is going to do Steel Magnolias for us in the fall, and has done several shows for us. And what happens is really early on we would have a few who came to do things, and then they sort of spread the word to their friends and peers. And we've had fantastic performers that are name performers, and then performers who are fantastic, who you might not know their names, but they're just well trained and just amazing at what they do. So it's been great.
Now, I know that you just wrapped up a performance of a musical that was close and near and dear to your heart.
It was.
Lonesome Traveler.
Yes.
And I understand that there's a possibility that it's going to go on the road.
Yes.
And that must be exciting for you. So does that happen often, that you have a premiere that's written by Jim and then that's picked up by other theater companies, or with the possibility of traveling around the country?
It more in recent years. Again, it's sort of been really the blessing of the economic downturn is that a lot of theaters have had to be very creative about how do we continue to offer the same level of quality, and a lot of times it's happened by working together. And so we knew before we produced Lonesome Traveler that we would be doing it with Laguna Playhouse. So it opened here, but next season it will be a part of their season, and then they're sending a production of Private Lives to us. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's great for the performers. That has, means longer employment and a chance to really, especially with the premiere, you get to develop it and refine it as you go too.
Sure.
So it's very helpful with world premieres.
Now, can anybody come and try out for any of your productions?
They can. We have, members of Actors Equity Association. Part of our union contract is that they have preference in terms of the auditions, but we do hold open auditions as well. And every year we cast some local actors who are non-union and some local who are union who get, sort of preference in the auditions. Our contract is that 90% of our actors need to be union actors, and but we've had some great local actors, Judge Perrin, Melora Dakayana, who has done shows with us, some really great local actors, and in Lonesome Traveler, too, that we consider local, although they now live in Los Angeles, Justine Bennett and Brendan Willing James.
Yeah. That was terrific.
Yeah, outstanding.
So we're running out of time, but it's been great chatting with you. Let's let the audience know how we can go ahead and get a hold of the Rubicon. Do you have a website?
We do. It's RubiconTheater.org, so easy to remember, but it's Theater R-E.
And you're located at?
We're at 1006 East Main at the corner of Main and Laurel in an old historic church.
That's wonderful. I want to thank you again so much for being a part of this show and bringing all this information about the Rubicon to our audience.
Well, we thank you too. Our performers during Lonesome Traveler got to go visit you at Zoe's and perform there. And again, it's so great to have collaboration with great people in the community.
And that's what it takes. It takes other people in the community to just get together and know what's out there. And the arts is alive and thriving in our community.
It is.
So again, thank you.
Amen.
So my name is Holly Hoganson, and I want to thank you for being a part of this segment of OurVentura.com, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.